Hi there, and welcome to the Multiply You podcast, where we showcase top experts in their space and reveal all the secrets you need to know to multiply you.
Hey everybody, good afternoon. Austin Clark here, host of the Multiply You podcast. Really excited to be with everybody again today. Excited to be able to have Jeff on. He owns a fantastic company out in California. He's going to give us some insights into some things that, I've talked about this the last couple of years. For a lot of us in the home service space, the pandemic as it relates to business, it was a good thing. It was a positive thing, but not for everybody. Jeff is certainly one of those that it wasn't necessarily kind to, if you will, but he's done some really neat things and done some deep thinking to really think about how he can readjust. I'm sure that many of you have done the same thing and have gone through a lot of this similar type thought processes that Jeff will share, but I'm excited to be on with him today. This episode, it's brought to you by my company, Moxie Pest Control. We are growing. Like I said, the last couple of podcasts, we've just kind of buttoned up our forecasts and our advertising budgets for 2023. We had a record-breaking 2022. We're looking to be able to do that again in 2023. And we're really excited to be able to see what comes of more concerted, focused efforts as it relates to advertising. Part of the way that we have grown the last 4 or 5 years has been via acquisition. And so our plug for that part of the growth on this show is in that if you know anybody that is in the pest control industry that may be looking to get out because they want to do something different, try something different, want to know what it looks like or feels like to work a little less, play a little bit more, we'd certainly love to have those conversations. We're all over and all across the country. We're in many different markets, about 35 of them as I sit here today. And you can either reach out to me directly on my cell. You can call me or text me at 480-254-9730. You can email me directly at aclark@Moxie Pest Control. And I'd love to be able to share some of the insights that we've gleaned and learned from the last handful of years about what's gone well, what hasn't gone well, what valuations are like today, and those sorts of things. So without further ado, we've got Jeff Rea here today. He has worked in the pest space for approximately the last 2 decades or so, about 18 plus years. He, like I said, has got a fantastic company out of California. It's grown at a pretty steady clip. The last 2 years have been a little bit difficult. They're pivoting and readjusting, but he has gained a lot of his experience in this industry that's been so good to so many of us. And so, Jeff, thank you so much for being on and welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Really happy to have you on. So tell us a little bit more about you. Tell us a little bit about your background. Have you always done pests? Did you do something before that? How did you kind of get to where you are today?
Oh, it's been a fun journey. So I've done quite a few different things, just trying to find a good fit. I did some sales, inside sales, outside sales when I got out of high school. Had a lot of fun with that. Got a lot of, good experience, met a lot of great people. Some I'm still friends with today, really fun folks to work with, and just got out there and kind of cut my teeth in, the whole genre of work. And of course, during high school, like many other people, I was working, at a drive-through fast food, doing that whole, thing, just getting some experience with a regular job, with a regular, W-2 kind of situation with a paycheck and, saving up for that first car and all that. After I did sales for a while, I ended up shifting in one of the companies I worked for over to purchasing. And that was fun. That was an eye opener because they actually sold goods and products. They had warehouses full of things. And so my job was to keep an eye on what we had and what we didn't have, or what we were going to sell that we're going to need more of, so that we didn't have to, back order anybody's stuff. So that was fun, fast paced. You had to keep an eye on who was selling what. But having been in the sales division, I already kind of had a handle on what was selling, what wasn't, and still had contacts over in the sales division. So it was like, hey, buddy, give me some insight because I'm about to send in a purchase order and I want to make sure we got everything you guys need on the shelf so you don't back order anybody. So that was fun and it was great while it lasted. That company went through a major transition, moved away. far, far away. And of course, I didn't want to move away from all my family and friends. So I ended up out there looking again, stumbled into doing work in information technology, mostly the hardware end, not the software end. But, just getting all of the workstations up and running, making sure to, be there available to troubleshoot either over the phone or go out to somebody's workstation and, help them get back, their PC working at their desk if something went haywire. That was a lot of fun. But right around then was the, right around the 2000 and 99, 2000. And what had happened there was I ended up looking for something else because a lot of companies were doing a lot of downsizing. I was in a big company, but I was one of the new guys. And
we're kind of seeing some of this cycle every 10 years or so. We kind of had it,
that's right,
like you said, late 90s, early 2000s. We had it again with the housing crisis, right, in 2007,
that's
8,
right.
9, 10. It kind of drug on, and we may be fixing for another something here. I mean, we see the headlines of
That's
Amazon laying off 18,000 employees or what have you, and Salesforce laying off. It starts in tech and these publicly held companies, and we'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, we kind of have to keep our eyes on what are the big boys doing to kind of get our cues and know what's going on out there. And so, it's one of the things I've gleaned over time. Hey, what are these guys up to? What's going on over here? What's going on over there? Why are they doing this? Is there a trend starting, or is there something we should know about? Especially when you're one of the little guys and, you want to make sure that you stay afloat. And so you look at those things. Yeah, right around in the late 90s or early 2000s, I stumbled onto pest control. And it was just me looking for something that was maybe, a little more recession proof. One of the first questions I asked my first branch manager when I went in to interview for the job was, hey, do you ever lay people off here? And, he said, hey, I've had to fire people for doing things they shouldn't, being, out there, acting wrong or, not behaving properly or driving, inappropriately. He says, but I've never had to lay anyone off. He says, there's lots of work to do. He goes, you try what you can out there, but you're never going to kill all the bugs. You just won't. He says, just as soon as you get one problem solved, somebody else is coming up. Hey, can you solve mine too? Sure. And then, somebody who you maybe solved a problem for, stuff only lasts for so long. So you got to go back and you got to reapply. You got to, keep that line up for them. Otherwise, they could get overrun again. So I said, okay, well, now I see an opportunity of something that as long as I go in and do what I normally do, which is show up, be Johnny on the spot, go out and handle what needs to be handled to the best of my ability. Maybe, not be too proud to call for help if I get in over my head, which was in the beginning quite a bunch. You go through the study materials and you learn about your trade a little bit in theory. Then you get out in the field and you have a guy kind of showing you the ropes, and you got a handle on it. But then the first time you get to something and you tried A, you tried B, you tried C, and nothing's working, and the customer's going, hey man, you're a nice guy, but I really need this problem solved. I don't want to have to call somebody else. You give them that little tap of the mat and you go, hey, give me a sec. I'm going to go ahead and call one of the old salty dogs in to help me out because maybe they know something I don't. And so it was fun. All those times that, I got a little bit more learning in, and okay, the next time out, now I can apply this and hey, it works, and then, several years later, wouldn't you know it, I'm one of the old salty dogs they're calling out. And I go, oh, hey, you know what? I got a trick for this. I remember somebody showing me this. Let me show you how this works. And, being able to kind of help another technician develop or, get some training in on them to the point where I was actually training technicians and then supervising technicians and then, even managing a branch at one point, which was a lot of fun. Big eye openers,
Yeah, I'll bet, it's always a shock and a transition going from doing day in, day out the technical work of applying, spraying, inspecting, interacting with customers, those sorts of things, to then managing the work, managing those that are doing the labor.
Yeah.
Very different issues, very different workflows. It's not just you on your own with your route and your customers. It's you managing a dozen routes or 24
Yep.
routes, and people that are in
Yeah.
those vehicles, and all the excitement that comes with it.
Oh yeah, and you've got to be ready to roll at the drop of a hat, So you have your route which you run because they've got that rapport with you, or hey, it's just one of those things where it escalated up to a supervisor, and but it's a light route. There's not much to it because at any moment somebody could call and say, oh hey, I got in an accident with the service truck, or oh shoot, this or that. Okay, or I fell down and I sprained my wrist. Okay, listen, stay where you're at. I'll be right out there. There's a protocol. Every company kind of does their own thing, although there's a lot of things that are, pretty much common. But hey, stay where you're at. You're safe. You're stable. Okay, I'll come out. I'll take a look. We'll take pictures. We'll do what we got to do, or I'll get you into urgent care. Have them look at your, your wrist. Make sure you're okay. Don't want you doing any work if you're not okay. That kind of thing. So it was a lot of fun. Big eye opener for sure.
Yeah. So thank you for that, and some of your path and background and story. It's helpful to understand. Tell us a little bit more as we fast forward, Jeff, to maybe the last 2 years. I mean, again, it is. I've got friends that are in the restaurant business or hospitality business. I've got other friends that are in entertainment as it relates to either like travel or destinations or cruises. And, it's kind of on one end of the spectrum, the industry almost not disappears, but like completely shuts down for several months or a year.
Yes.
To others that if you were in the, blue nitrile glove or dust mask business or hand sanitizing business, you'd be a bajillionaire. And then maybe you and I are kind of somewhere right in the middle of that.
Right.
But tell us about what had been difficult the last 2 years or so, and then maybe some of the things that you're figuring out about that, and what you've done to pivot or adjust, because I think everyone to a certain extent has had to do that.
It's funny. Yeah, March 2020 hit, and we braced for impact. It was, oh, now, what's going to happen? If you were in a shopping mall or a gym, forget about it. I mean, you weren't going to work. Like you said, several restaurants. The restaurants, I got to say, they came back pretty resilient in that they quickly found a way to work around certain things. So it was like, okay, we can do carry out still, right? Okay, then we'll do carry out, maybe even switch to a delivery model. That way the cooks still cook. And, we can do outdoor seating. Okay, perfect. Now we can have the servers do their job, and everybody will just be enjoying their lunch or their dinner outside. Okay, great. Like I say, we braced for impact, but once we, got the nitty and the gritty of it, we realized, okay, we're maintenance, and service. We need to keep rolling.
And essential, by the way, which was a huge,
absolutely,
thing that went our way.
Yeah, kind of went our way, because at first I thought, wait, are we going to not be able to work too? Good friend of my wife is a hairdresser. All the salons closed down. So that was the first wave of, okay, now we've got our foot on the ground. What are we doing? Okay, we're not doing any of our mall people. We're not doing any of our fitness club people. Okay, shoot, that puts a sting on things. So we got to put them all on an indefinite hold, see what happens, see if they can bounce back, and see where we're going from there. And then, like you mentioned, the supply chain issues soon followed. We like our disposable gloves. I mean, we always have on hand plenty of I always call them, the spray rig style of glove, where, it's the green, neoprene gloves. I've always got plenty of those, but I also like the disposable gloves, in either black or blue nitrile. You could not find them anywhere for the longest time. N95 masks, good luck. The N100s that we have, we couldn't even find cartridges for those for a little while. And so that was a big challenge. And we were sourcing just to find things. Toilet paper, of course, that hit everybody and us as well. How do we keep toilet paper on the roll in the office? I remembered working with a company way back in my purchasing days, and I still have their contact in my Rolodex, and said, hey, can you ship us out a case of that toilet paper? They said, sure thing, no problem. Got all our billing information. Now we have an account with them, but you could go. I mean, all the stores within a 50-mile radius, the shelves were completely barren. So that was a challenge. I will say, though, the thing that was interesting is that with so many people at home, we had a boon in 2020. When it was all said and done, we grew really, really well. By the end of 2020, we ran the analysis and looked at how we did. We gained a lot of service accounts, mostly residential. But I think what happened is people were at home, and because they were spending so much time at home, they saw the bugs at home more and said, you know what, we need a service. And it may have been something where they didn't see as much because they were either commuting or at the office all day, but now they were more sensitive to it. So that helped a lot, in 2020. 2021, though, being based in California, was an interesting year. The political winds and other things kind of shifted the way they did. And a lot of people decided they were just, giving up on the state. I've been, here pretty much my whole life. Outside of a couple of years, I lived in Nevada, but I mean, I was born and raised here. I spent, my teenage years going to the beach all summer. Just a California boy, so I see that happening, and it's like, gosh, I'm stubborn, I guess, because I've been here so long and I know where everything's at and I can find it without really even having to look at a map. I kind of just don't want to like pick up and move and start in a whole new location. But I mean, I'm seeing people that have been here their whole lives and they're just up and leaving. A lot of them friends I've kept in touch with. And of course, the conversation always starts the same way. When are you moving out here? And it's like, man, I miss you guys,
Yeah, no, you guys certainly did with just a lot of the things that happened or went on. You guys saw a little bit of an exodus, and I don't know if it's done yet. It still seems that there's a lot of people. I don't know. Maybe they took it as an opportunity to do something different or go somewhere different, or maybe their job or career changed and became either remote or a little bit more flexible. And they said, "Hey, if I'm ever going to get out, now's no better time," right?
And you know what? I think that was the case with several of them. Yeah, they had the opportunity presented itself, where they could, and it's like, well, I've been doing it remote for this long. Maybe I can just continue to do it that way, or just a million different things along those lines, just like you mentioned, popping up, different reasons for different people. Some of them just saying, oh, I'm going over here because it's just more cost effective for us, easier to budget for. Maybe they were retiring at that point anyway. I know in a couple of cases, they were either, fire or police, and they were getting close to their pension. And so they said, well, I've hit the retirement, and we're, going to retire somewhere where it's, you get a lot more bang for your buck. And I said, yeah, well, that's one thing this state is fairly expensive. So we, we all kind of get used to it, but then you go to another state on vacation and you're like, wow, everything's so cheap here, man. This is a great, man, they got deals for days,
Just no beaches, right? Just no beaches.
Yeah, just no beaches.
So all those things happened. What were some of the things that you and your team, Jeff, decided to do to pivot? I mean, 2020 happened. It was a good year for you. 2021 was still an okay year, but just a lot of things were going on and happening as either related politically or just maybe the handling of or just whatever. I'm not looking to criticize anybody, but there was a lot that was happening, especially in California. So what were some of the things that you and your crew did at your company to continue to thrive, to continue to hang on to those customers, to continue to grow?
A lot of folks were still fearful for quite some time. I mean, it went on into 21 and even 22. So one of the things that we did do that really was helpful was, when possible, we try to minimize contact, and do a lot of things over the phone or via FaceTime with people who were, kind of worried about getting sick, or getting too close to anybody else and maybe transmitting something, So we offered to do certain things. We have one client that still to this day, every time we go and do their regular, exterior maintenance, they insist that once we get on their property, we throw on a mask, a surgical mask. So of course, whichever technician happens to be there, throws on a surgical mask. It's right there in the notes on that account. It makes that client feel better. And it's that extra step, others, they were like, no, you don't have to do any of that, or come on in, and we were, of course, always cautious, but it's just like another step, like putting on boot covers when you go inside somebody's house, or,
Sure.
just that added little something, to kind of show them that, hey, yeah, we are mindful. We do care about these things. So that's what we did, was when we were able to, start utilizing technology to our advantage, and just say, hey, FaceTime me if you can, or, send me a short clip, a video clip of what you're seeing, so I can get an idea. Or if you can get some good close-up photos, we'll ID that pest and come up with a game plan as to what's going on there. Whereas before, it was always, let's go ahead and set an appointment, get out there and see it for ourselves. But, now I thought, well, hey, the technology's there. Why not tap into it, take advantage of it? So people are FaceTiming, with myself or one of the technicians. People are, of course, over the phone, they're sending, or the SMS videos and all that good stuff, that you can do, or just attach it to an email even. And, that way we can get to work on our end, and then say, okay, here's what we're going to want to do. Here's our plan of attack. Do we, maybe you clear out the pantry cabinet, and then we're going to show up and we'll set that appointment, we'll coordinate. The other thing too was tightening up the routing. That was a big one. So we could be in tighter windows instead of, hey, morning or afternoon. We could tighten it down to, hour to 2 hour windows, by tightening up our routing. And that helps a lot too, because, well, fuel went way, way up. So we started looking at, again, the big boys. What do? They eliminate left turns. They do a lot of things that helps get more bang for the buck out of that fuel. So we kind of made that pivot as well, and started looking at it visually on the map. Where is everybody? What's the best, most effective way? And then we even took subtle cues like, oh, wait, we're going right past the school. What time of day is that going to be? Because if that's right when school lets out, maybe we're better off going a block over, that kind of thing. It's those minute details that make a huge difference, and make all the difference between, oh, wow, I didn't know if you guys were going to make it, to, wow, you're right on time. That's great. Well, yeah, here, do your thing, and then they go, wow, how do you guys always manage to consistently be on time? Just really, really good routing makes a big difference.
Well, and I like that you draw from, and I'm not sure if it was FedEx or UPS, but the all left
Yes.
turns. I think that hard times allow us to be able to reevaluate how we're doing some of those things and what is absolutely necessary. There's a guy that I follow that I like a lot as it relates to lean and Kaizen. His name is Paul Akers. He owns a company called FastCap, and it's the idea of eliminating waste, whether waste as it relates to overproduction, waste as it relates to lead time, wasted movement. And it mostly has to do with like the manufacturing industries. But man, what you do, Jeff, and what I do, there is plenty. I think that no one would argue with us in the home service space that most of our field people, most of our technicians, they spend their time driving. And no one gets paid for windshield time besides our employees. And so how can we put more jobs on routes and eliminate drive time? And I think some of those things that you suggested, as far as, maybe going a little bit of a different route when it's around school time, eliminate some of that waste or eliminate some of that drive time. The all left turn certainly does. I don't think that we're probably as sophisticated as you as it relates to some of that routing, but we do our best. And, at the end of the day, if you think about it, our customers, they're our bosses. They pay for everything. But when I say everything, they pay for everything. And so they pay for us missing that left turn. They pay for us sitting in traffic for 2 hours. And so, you consider all of the things that we do, not on purpose, obviously, but that are wasteful or not productive. The client pays for that. It makes our service more expensive for them because we still have to turn a profit to be able to reinvest. And, it's what's great about competition, because it lowers cost and produces a better finished good or service. So, well, Well, very neat. What are some of the other things, maybe as you're looking towards the future now, it looks like you took a good hard look, you and your team at your business, and how you could make more left turns or be a little more thoughtful as it relates to doing the service. What are some of the things you look to implement that you know are going to be home runs in the next, 2023, 2024, and kind of moving forward as the pandemic is far behind us, thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness.
And hopefully we don't have to go through anything like that again for a long, long time.
So yeah, one of the things we've been looking at is, what we can do in the realm of value adds. And I remember, well, back when I first got started in pest control, I mean, we basically, a typical service, of course, we all used spray rigs back then, and most of the time gas powered spray rigs. So they were loud, they were a little obnoxious. You had to drag the hose around and then, reel it all back in at the end. But that was all we did. Then all of a sudden, a couple years into pest control, they hand us a pole with a brush at the end of it. And they said, of course, all of us said, what's this for? Well, you're going to be knocking down cobwebs as value add. It's that one little thing gives us a competitive edge. Of course, now everybody knocks down the cobwebs, but that became the industry standard. And it was just one company coming out there and saying, hey, what can we do as a value add for our customers, keep them loyal, keep them happy, and maybe just keep them, period. So we adapted to it, and that was, an interesting thing. And then I remember, backpack sprayers becoming more prominent than the spray rigs, and that was actually a welcome change. No more catching your hose and breaking off somebody's sprinkler head or breaking a clay pot. It's like, hey, okay, I can work with this. I'm not grabbing anything on accident that I don't know about and having to go back and, oh, geez, Mr. Smith or Mrs. Jones, I broke your flower pot, kind of thing. So we like our backpacks. That's one thing that we started off with and we've been working with ever since. We're all backpacking B&G. The other thing is we try to stick to anything within the caution label range and not deviate from that. There are
eliminates you having to have special equipment or special PPE.
Right. Yeah. So there's, that's the other thing, non-pandemic related, we try to always make sure anytime anybody's going inside somebody's house, they're putting on the shoebies. Whether they've got the white carpet or it's all tile or all wood, they still appreciate that you do that. I mean, your boots generally stay clean. You want to keep them clean because you don't want the inside of your truck to be a mess. And so, they could be a brand new pair of boots, spit shine, but you throw on those shoebies and people take note of that and they go, wow, this guy's, really going that extra mile, taking that extra second and showing some serious respect. So that's the hard, fast rule here, is put on the boot cover. It doesn't matter if your boots are clean or not. Just do that the customer's going to notice it, and they will. They'll call the office and they'll compliment, hey, your guy didn't need to, but he did it anyway, and I really appreciate that. It just shows he's very conscientious. He's looking out. So another thing that we're going to do too, in order to kind of gain back some of the shrink we experienced in 22, is we're getting back to basics. So, come spring, we're going to go out there, we're going to door knock, we're going to canvas like they always used to hire sales teams to do. We deviated away from that from 2016 all the way up through last year because digital worked really well. But, I still believe in digital. I still think we should keep it going. You get those search engines and review sites that people do go to look for a professional. And I know that they've gotten tired of all these other folks, coming around knocking on their doors. That was the mindset we had was, the solar guys have already hit them up. The guy with the vacuum cleaners has already hit them up. The guy that wants to do bathroom reno has already hit them up. And now here we are knocking on a door, But I honestly feel that if we just get out there and have a nice conversation with somebody and just let them know, hey, if you're not, looking right now, that's fine. Just hold on to our information. Here's a fridge magnet. So that when you do see them, we're your first call. Nothing too pushy, but just to get out there and let them know, hey, we do a couple of your neighbors already on this street. We'd like to do even more things on this street. If you'd like to be our next, service client, we'll wow you. We'll take good care of you, And that's at the end of the day, I think what people really want is to know that, hey, they're here, they're in the neighborhood already. And, which neighbors is always the next question. And then, if we do have somebody on the street, say, Mr. Tally right there, 2 doors down across the street. If I don't know if you're friendly with him or not, but if you get to talking, he'll vouch for us. We've been taking care of him for a couple of years now, and, of course, he knows that he gets a referral bird dog, and, so that's good. And I'd rather see more people refer more people, so we try to, hook them up and get some accounts, credits on their account when they do that, because it helps us in the long run. So, it's just good all around.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, that was fantastic. And, I appreciate you sharing some of the lessons learned from the last couple of years. I appreciate you sharing some of the tips and plans you've got for the next couple of years to be able to rebound back a little bit and continue to grow. And I wish you just all the continued success that you want and that you deserve. If people, Jeff, are looking to continue the conversation, what's the website they can go to? What's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Oh, perfect. Yeah, our website is firstresponcepc.com. And it's put together really nicely. I mean, I'm pretty proud with it. We've gone through a few iterations, but where it's at now.
Oh yeah, no, I've been on it a little bit here and there. It's a great website, very functional,
Thanks.
very easy to navigate.
That's what we were going for. We wanted it to be user friendly, but also have all the information that somebody who's really seriously looking might, want to know about, or, questions they might want answered, to, have those answers right there for them. And then, of course, make it easy to contact us, so our office number's right there on the website, and they can contact us with any questions. We do get different inquiries for different things. We aren't currently a termite company. We're strictly general pests. But down the line, we might switch over to termite. We still get those people calling saying, hey, can you come out and do a termite inspection? As in state of California, it's a different license for a fumigator than it is for general pests, than it is for even wood destroying organisms like your termites and wood rot and stuff like that.
It's a process out there, that's for sure.
It is. Yeah, there's much more specialty, and a lot of companies, the bigger companies that have been around a while, of course, have licensees that are termite licensees, and they've got general pest guys, and then they've got some of them either their own in-house fume crew. But there are some companies that strictly specialize in fumigation, and a lot of the other guys just sublet to them and things like that. But it is, yeah, very, very much everything out here is a specialty. Whereas you go to some other states and you can get one license and it includes everything: pests, termite, animal trapping, you name it, all under one license. I almost kind of envy those places though, because then, you pass the test once and you get that license once and you can do all these different things. So, here you've just got to get more licenses.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Well, Jeff, thank you again for your time and for providing some of that contact info. I hope everyone checks Jeff out. Thank you, everybody who's patching in and listening, for your time. I know it's very limited and valuable too. And these will drop once a week moving forward. And until then, create a great day.
All right. Thanks so much.
Hey, you got it. Thanks, Jeff.
All right. Good talking with you.
Thank you for listening to the Multiply You podcast. You'll see us again soon when you subscribe for future episodes.